Welcome back, everybody, from that short intermission. This is James Kuzneric for Real Steel Sports on Spreaker Web Radio. Sorry for the noise in the background. I plugged my computer and the charge is running a little bit low. In this segment, I will be breaking down the NFC Championship game that was Sunday between the San Francisco 49ers and the Super Bowl-bound Seattle Seahawks. Pardon that, I had to plug my computer in. What was there not to like about this game? You know, from the Seahawks' fourth quarter comeback to Marshawn Lynch's beast mode run to Richard Sherman's flamboyant behavior at the end of the game, this game had it all, and it was fun to watch. I mean, Seattle fans, they're over-caffeinated. They're probably on the edge of their seats, as they should, because that was a hell of a game if you were that. And if you're a Niner fan, you basically just had your heart slowly pulled out of your chest. In my opinion, this was the best NFC game all year. NFC game all year. And the reason why is because you had two teams that are the best in the NFC by far, in my opinion. I thought Carolina was, but they proved me wrong. And San Francisco played well the second half of the stretch. Them and Seattle are the best teams in the NFC. You know, and they engaged the best game, I thought, in the NFC this year amongst all NFC-only teams. I mean, there were several really good games, you know, such as Chicago and Green Bay in the season finale, or the Seahawks and the Saints game in the playoffs. That was a good game. There's so many good games, but what sets this game apart from all of them is the fact that you had two division rivals, the fact that it came down the wire and it was a late game interception that sealed it. That's what made it good. And Sherman's rant just takes over the top. I'm not going to address the rant for Sherman too much. I'm just going to get that out of the way and just talk about that really quickly. I don't agree with what he said about Crabtree in terms of he actually said it. You know, that was just rude. I thought that was really rude and inconsiderate. But I agree with him. He is. Crabtree, honestly, Harbaugh, that was the dumbest coaching decision he's made in all his life coaching, is to have Colin Kaepernick, who's not a very adept pocket passer, beat Richard Sherman, the best cornerback in the league and arguably the defensive player of the year, who had help with a linebacker who's relatively quick in coverage. I think his name is Malcolm Smith. Go after Michael Crabtree, who's not very tall, not very, athletic, more or less just fast and shifty, in the corner of the end zone. That just had disaster written all over it. That was not going to work. That really wasn't, because what you ultimately get is the interception, And Sherman, I read an essay he wrote explaining his actions. I was a Sherman fan before that. I was kind of pissed off at him at that moment. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? But, I'm still a fan of him. And the reason why is this. The guy off the field he's a great human being. He contributes to society. I mean, he's the underdog, a fifth-round draft pick in a year where his own coach at Stanford, Jim Harbaugh, dissed teams for taking a look at him, told him to shy away from Sherman. He's drafted behind guys like Mo Claiborne and Prince Amukamara, as you know, Patrick Peterson and Prince Amukamara, and ultimately becomes the best defensive player in the league within a couple short years. I mean, and to say what he said about Crabtree was wrong, but his point was right. It was dumb for him to try to attack Sherman with Crabtree that way. They should have taken a chance with Vernon Davis over the middle against Bobby Wagner. If they had done that, or actually better yet, Kaepernick should have ran it. Kaepernick would have easily picked up 10, 15, maybe even the touchdown the play because he's so damn big. But, how can I say this? When I think of this game, when I think of Sherman, really, he has every right to be to have the kind of swagger he has. He's a very confident man. He's not. I don't think he's cocky. When he went to Crabtree, he had his buddy, went to shake his hands to say good game. It wasn't trying to be an asshole, and Crabtree just shut him in the face being an asshole. So there you go. I'm defending Sherman on that. Not defending for what he said after the game, but still. Now back to the game, because it's the last I'm going to reference. This game was a tale of two halves. In the first half, the San Francisco 49ers were the better team, obviously. They ran the ball. Kaepernick had over 100 yards before halftime. And they weren't throwing much, but then again, I don't think they really had to, because the way Sherman was running. Gomer, 11 carries, 14 yards, didn't show up. So Kaepernick pretty much was their offense, yes, on Sunday's game. But I feel that, that could have been more than a 10-3 halftime lead. That could have been a potentially 17-3 halftime, that 20-3 even. That could have been a much bigger lead than it was. Because San Fran didn't capitalize on some opportunities, made some dumb mistakes, and that's what happens. Harbaugh's team, I think, made too many mistakes in the first half for them to get a true lead. They kept allowing the Seahawks to hang in. They kept doing it. And as the second half started, Seattle gets some momentum. They get the big run by Lynch. Kaepernick throws a touchdown pass, but then they score a few more times, get a couple more field goals and a touchdown. And, the Seahawks completely dominated the second half. They were in Kaepernick's face. They were getting turnovers. I mean, the key stat in this game is that there are 3 turnovers other than the turnover in the first play of the game with the Seahawks, Russell Wilson's fumble when he was stripped by Aldon Smith, they returned to a field goal. Other than that, Seattle didn't turn the ball over. And Kaepernick turned it over himself 3 times in the fourth quarter. And in my opinion, that was no accident. I think Seattle's defense increased its ferocity and increased its pressure on Kaepernick as the game went on. Not so much to keep him in the pocket, but by playing tighter coverage and putting more guys in the spy to cover Kaepernick in case he tried to run. Kaepernick's big and he's fast. He is, but he's a target. And as the game wore on, it just seemed slowly like when this game was a defensive slugfest, it just seemed like both teams was just grinding. Like that point where it was almost dead even in the third quarter, they were just grinding back and forth. You didn't know who was going to take momentum. And Seattle creating one of the biggest comebacks in their history, not so much in terms of a point differential statistics, more or less a differential of, emotions in terms of, momentum. Because they were getting throttled. Their offense was just sputtering downward. They were doing nothing. Marshawn Lynch wasn't accounting for anything, and Wilson wasn't completing anything. And Kaepernick's running up and down the field on his best defense in the league. And then the second half was the opposite. Russell Wilson turned it on, had a couple of nice big throws, a touchdown pass and a long pass. And Lynch with a long touchdown and just kept grinding out yards, and the defense just kept playing better. The defense got stronger as the match went on. If that's the case, then that was really what happened. And if that's the case, Kaepernick didn't have a chance. Let's put it this way. Seattle at home playing at about 80% of their best football on defense, Kaepernick's not going to beat that. I mean, this game was really just a war of attrition. It really was. It could have gone either way. If Kaepernick runs with the first down instead of throwing and getting picked off, there's a good chance he'd throw a touchdown to Vernon Davis over the middle of the next play. We have a repeat of the Saints game in the playoffs 2 years ago, but it didn't happen. This game was just so back and forth, it was insane. And I think what made it even better was the fact that Seattle fans were just going nuts. It was prime time, and two teams that don't like each other just going down, just throwing down. That wasn't a football game. That was a bar fight, pretty much, as a football game. Niners got up early. Seahawks pretty much got it even. And the 12th minute came in and made all the difference. Now, going forward from here, you know, Seattle going on to play Denver in the Super Bowl, they got to pass protect better, Wilson's got to play better, and the defense has to play better. They're not going to get the same mistakes they got from Kaepernick. They'll get from Kaepernick. They'll get from blah, 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 blah. Let me try that again. They're not going to get the same mistakes from Peyton Manning that they got from Colin Kaepernick. Or even from Drew Brees. Mental mistakes. The weather could play an impact because it's going to be cooler. It's going to be in the mid-low 30s and potentially the 20s by game time, and that could really have an impact on the game. But, in all honesty, they're a team built for it, and they're, 2.5 point underdogs, even 3 point underdogs in some bookies, in some lines. They got a good chance to win this game. I don't know who I think's going to win this game right now, but you can't count him out. I know Russ Wilson's not played well, but I think he'll be turning it on really soon. I think he's going to start playing his kind of ball again. You know? I think he's going to turn up. I think he's going to play some better football. I think Lynch is going to keep pounding away. Don't think they'll have the same success they did against the Niners because the Broncos' front seven, in terms of run stopping, was so efficient studying down New England. They're going to look to shut down beast mode. They're going to make Russell Wilson beat him with his arm. No doubt about it. But for the 49ers going from here, you got to evaluate Colin Kaepernick further. Because when he was running the football, man, he was awesome. It looked like Randall Cunningham running the football. So fast, so elusive. You couldn't hit him, you couldn't tackle him, but he was physical. It was like Randall Cunningham with size. I mean, it was really, if you're a Niners fan or even just a pure football fan with an unbiased opinion on who you want to win, it was a beautiful thing to watch him just run up and down the field in Seattle's defense. But this is a message to Jim Harbaugh and the Niners organization. I don't care if you've got Marvin Harrison and Jerry Rice as your wide receivers. If Kaepernick doesn't improve as a passer, you're not winning a Super Bowl. I don't care how good your defense is. I don't care how good your weapons are, your line, your backs, anything, your coaches, whatever. Kaepernick does not improve from the pocket. You will not win a Super Bowl. And this game proved it. The two throws he made, the one was a good decision and could target the guy on the sideline, but Cam Chancellor was there. But the pick, he just didn't throw it high enough. The other play, or far enough out. It shouldn't have been so much to the sideline, it should have been further out. And then that would have been, a couple more yards downfield and a greater gain right off the bat. But if in the second play, that was a dumb decision to go for Crabtree whenever Sherman and another guy are covering. It's bad enough Sherman's covering you, but if you got another guy covering you with Sherman, not a recipe for success. The rest of this Niners team was good, but the one thing in that game that really sad me was Navarro Bowman. I felt really bad for him because, for one, you hate to see anybody get hurt, anybody at all, especially in a gruesome injury like that where his knee just bent back on him. I mean, it's just painful to watch and painful to imagine. But also because he's a Penn Stater, he's a former Penn State player. And of course, being a big Penn State fan, of course, I feel bad for him. But he'll be fine, he'll be back on the field, he'll return to his form. And that's why I think Richard Sherman truly showed his class, is that, the Seahawks and 49ers hate each other and their fans hate each other, but to throw popcorn at him was just rude and ignorant and just terrible. Now for this game right here, do I think it was Seattle winning it or San Francisco losing it? And that's a tougher one to call with New England because you had one team that showed up and played good, another team that showed up and didn't play good. But for this game, I'm going to say San Francisco lost it because you have a 10-point lead right off the bat and a 17-10 lead at part of the fourth quarter. You get a team that can run the football and can run down the clock. And Kaepernick, who can get you 5, 6, 7 yards anytime he wants to take off.